Hi, it's Sandy with Senior Slim Down with Sandy. In my week 4 Zepbound update, I'm going to talk about taking my 4th injection, why I finally decided to go to my 50-year high school reunion, the issues I've had with getting on the Medicare Bridge Program, and why I hate taking my own advice. So for all those people that have been anxious about doing the injections, let me just tell you that by week 4, it was easy peasy. I sat on the couch. I have a little tray that, keeps all my stuff organized, and that way I can set the tray on the couch. I've had a couple people ask me in the comments where I got the tray from. They call it an activity tray. You find it in the preschooler school supply section of the dollar store. So apparently my level of medical organization is basically all I ever needed to know I learned in kindergarten. If you think that's something you might like using, I would definitely encourage you to get one, especially since it's only $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. But one of the first videos I did was called Helping Your Doctor Help You, which was advice about getting on the Medicare Bridge Program. And I really hate taking my own advice, and I have had to, because my advice was basically be patient and be persistent. And I have had issues with getting approved for the Medicare Bridge Program that don't really have anything to do with the Bridge Program and my qualifications for getting on the Bridge Program. I had gotten married 3 years ago, and Social Security changed my name pretty efficiently, and I could not get the Medicare records to update. And since I couldn't get the Medicare records to update, my insurance wouldn't update my name on my insurance card. So just as I'm trying to get everything approved on this prescription for the Medicare Bridge Program, Medicare decides to change my name, which meant that my insurance company changed my name, and it just created another level of difficulty. But the big news this week is that I finally decided to go to my 50-year high school reunion. And I had said I wasn't going to go repeatedly, and the reunion is only about 4 weeks away. A friend of mine told me a while back that his dad used to call the neighborhood we grew up in the executive slums. But I did have a pretty interesting class in high school. One guy that I had a couple of classes with, who was a quarterback on the football team, ended up being a notorious rapist in Houston. And I'm telling you what, if you took 30 people out of my class and lined them up against the wall and said, which one of these is going to turn out to be a notorious criminal, you would not have picked this guy. And he ended up getting 50 years. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that he's not going to be at the reunion since he's going to be in prison. Another guy that I went to high school with is the owner of the Houston Rockets and is currently the U.S. ambassador to Italy. I know he's not going to be there because he's never come to any of our reunions. And then another guy I went to high school with is actually a best-selling author and is currently a writer for the New York Times. And I know he's coming. And he has written a couple of different articles over the years about our high school reunions. So it'll be interesting to see what his take this year is. One year, and I think it was after our 10-year reunion, he wrote an article, I think it was for Texas Monthly, and he featured this story about the rapist from our high school. And he ended up taking about 8 or 9 people from our class on the Sally Jessica Raphael show. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, he has never featured me in any of his articles about our high school reunions. The thing about my weight now, though, is that even though I was fat as a kid, I was not fat in high school. So for people that only knew me in high school, I think it is pretty much a stark contrast. The reunion's only 3 hours away, and I really thought about why I wasn't wanting to go and just decided, what am I afraid of? I am at the heaviest weight I've ever been. And I've been fat at lots of other high school reunions. I've gone to almost all my high school reunions. I have 2 other women who I grew up with that lived in the same neighborhood, and we had gone to all the high school reunions, but one of them has passed away. And I have to say that was one reason why I was kind of reluctant to go, because I didn't just want to talk about her. I didn't want to talk about her dying. I didn't want to talk about all the other people who died. David would have been perfectly happy not to go to my high school reunion because he is never very comfortable at parties where he doesn't know anybody. But because I had said I was going to go at such a very late date, the other friend of this trio of girls that I ran around with in high school had already gotten her husband to come. So just the two of us going together. So at least David will have him to talk to. And as I said, I've gone to high school reunions fat before, but I've never been this heavy. So I don't know that anybody is going to be like, oh, look, Sandy, she's gained so much weight. But won't they really? I think ultimately, one of the things about it that occurred to me is that if I'm putting myself out here on YouTube, why wouldn't I go to my high school reunion? But wouldn't it have been great if I had already lost 100 pounds on Zepbound before this high school reunion? I mean, to walk in there and have that drop the mic moment after having gone as a fat person to so many high school reunions, that would have been awesome. Afraid I've missed my chance. I doubt we'll have another high school reunion. How many reunions do you have after the 50-year mark? But other than not having lost 100 pounds in the 6 weeks before my high school reunion, everything else seems to be going pretty good, with the exception of my sleep. And the Zepbound is definitely affecting my sleep. And I'm not having trouble falling asleep, but I keep waking up every 2 hours or 1 hour, and I'm dreaming when I wake up. And so I know they call that REM sleep, when it's your active dreaming sleep, rapid eye movement. So I'm not sure, what's that doing to my brain that I'm having all of this REM sleep. Dreams are such a weird thing. I always think of them like the file cabinet in the back of your head, and while you're sleeping, your brain is just rifling through the file cabinet going, oh, this looks interesting. I think I'll just throw this out there. So that's pretty much all that's going on in my Zepbound weight loss program, week 4. I have heard that there are a number of people that are getting their Zepbound and other weight loss medications through the Medicare Bridge Program. If you're somebody that's done that, let us know in the comments. I said to my son that there were going to be a lot of very old boomers hanging around, to which he replied, oh, great. But, if we get healthier, that's good for everybody. It's good for the healthcare system. It's good for our families, and certainly it's good for us. So maybe there will be another high school reunion in my future after all. So I hope you're having a great week, and see you later.